So the rules have changed. The old rules said that some students will get it and some won't. How many of you went to school when I did, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, where the it was dependent on the book or the classroom teacher? And what happened in my classroom that I was expected to learn, the it might not have been the same as my fellow classmate in another classroom. Second thing, if they don't learn it, it's their fault. I did everything I could. Those are the old rules. It's the kids' fault. Third thing, we were preparing students for an industrialized society, so if they weren't overly successful in academics, they could at least find a job. As you saw in the video, the rules have changed. All students will learn it, and the it has now been defined by standards. If they don't learn it, the adults, the leaders, the teachers, the staff, the parents, and the students must take responsibility for those who don't learn standards. And we are no longer preparing children for an industrialized society where they can walk in and have a job for the next 3 decades of their life. Statistics, as you saw, show that 10 to 14 jobs will be held by people before they're even the age of 38. It's an alarming statistic. It means we have to prepare kids differently. We have to prepare them to be deep thinkers and problem solvers. New ways of working. Under the old rules, we always worked in isolation. We still do. We go into our classrooms and we close our doors and we work by ourselves. The old rule said that we had a one-size-fits-all environment in our classroom. I teach to the middle, the upper kids will get it, and the other kids, oh well. Limited or no change in what's going on in the classroom or in society, and that time is the constant. We go through 180 school days. That's the constant. The new ways of working say we should be working together in teams, not in isolation. That our instruction should be differentiated to meet the needs of different learners in our classrooms. That change is the constant now, as well as achievement. In education, we tend to work in groups. It's sort of like running a marathon. We all start on day 1 tomorrow and we run for 182 school days till we get to the end. We all have the same goal in mind to try and do our best to teach students, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're working as a team. It's part of the nature of our business. Let me give you an example of a group. My parents, who live in Rhode Island, are in their 80s. And no longer able to travel distances, but about 10 years ago they used to come to my house for Thanksgiving. My oldest brother lives about 3 miles down the road for them. He would bring them to my house, we'd have the whole gang for Thanksgiving dinner. Now they would get in the car, you'd think they were a team, coming to the house all family together. They were actually a group. My brother was driving the car. He was interested in getting from Warwick, Rhode Island to Belchertown, Massachusetts. That was the goal. My parents, who were starting not to drive so frequently at that point, were in it for the fun, the journey, the ride. They'd get to Sturbridge, and it would be time for a little pit stop. Not only was it time for a pit stop, but it was also time in my parents' eyes to stop at Friendly's for coffee and muffin and whatever else. My brother would be rolling his eyes, thinking, I just want to get to Judy's house. They were a group, they were not a team. They had the same end goal to get to my house for Thanksgiving. They'd come to the door, I'd say to my brother, how long did it take you to get here? 3.5 hours. Should have only taken us 2, but you know, we had to stop at Friendly's in Sturbridge, rolling his eyes. That's a group. Same end goal, but not working together to meet the goal. A team is different. It's like being oarsmen, where we all become inextricably linked together with the goal in mind that every one of our students will be successful learners in our classrooms. For from my office all the way down to your buildings. We need to be working together to make sure that we prepare our students for the future that waits for them. So how do we get there? We know we have rigorous standards. The next R is relevance. And the relevance comes from what's known as the power of intersections. I had a chance to listen to the author of this book this summer, and I've been reading this book. It's called The Medici Effect, and I'm not going to go into the whole entire book. But his main premise is that the power of ideas and relevance in our curriculum come through intersections. People finding places to congregate together to make sure the curriculum and what we teach is relevant. So we have to meet at that intersection. So what does that mean? Let me give you a couple of examples. One is from the book, a couple actually. This first example, there was an architect who was asked to build an office building, the tallest office building in Harare, Zimbabwe. He was asked to build the building without air conditioning. Now, if you know anything about the geography of Africa, Zimbabwe is pretty close to the equator. It's kind of like a hot place, so how do you build a building without air conditioning? He took his intersection from the field of entomology. What he did was he learned from termite hills. This is what termites do in Zimbabwe. They build giant hills in which they live, and the temperature must be precisely 87 degrees Fahrenheit or they die. So how do they make that happen? They built this very elaborate system of vents. They go down into the cool mud and they open up vents so that the air can pass through the mud, and during the day when the temperature exceeds 100 degrees, they keep it cool. Now, it can get as cool as 40 degrees at night in Zimbabwe. So when it gets cool, they go back down into the vents, they plug them all up, and keep the hill warm. So he learned from that and used geothermal physics to go down into the groundwater to be able to build a vent system, and that's the result. The tallest office building in Zimbabwe without air conditioning that is comfortable for people to work in. He saved millions of dollars in upfront construction costs. Millions of dollars are saved every year in energy costs, and his carbon footprint for an office building in this kind of environment has been significantly reduced. All because of an intersection of architecture and entomology. I want to share with you another example.